Welcome to the Business Buzz. Plenty going on right now. Of course, we got 9 News business expert Ryan Frazier here with the headlines. Hey!
It's always good to be with you, Sam. Let's get going. The number of passengers who flew through DIA is down this year, but the airport's revenue is up. That's according to our partners at the Denver Business Journal. The airport's quarterly financial report shows 100,000 more passengers used DIA between January and September 30th last year versus this year. But the Business Journal learned revenue for the year is up more than 12% from 2024. That's because the airport raised facility rental fees by $90 million and landing fees by $9 million. Troubling news for the U.S. labor market. Fewer people are having luck finding a job. The latest jobs report from payroll company ADP showed a drop of about 32,000 private sector jobs in November. In a different report, the outplacement firm Challenger, Gray, and Christmas said U.S. employers laid off over 71,000 people last month. Analysts say nearly 1.2 million jobs have been cut so far this year. That's the highest amount recorded in an 8-month stretch since 2020. The full impact of this year's tariffs has not been felt yet, according to corporate executives and economic forecasters. In fact, they say the president's efforts to use tariffs to bring manufacturing jobs back from overseas factories will likely have the opposite effect. There are concerns U.S. import tariffs will further raise operating costs in the new year, and companies say they may have to start cutting jobs to make up for it. Some say the tariffs are creating a business climate that's tougher than during COVID. PNC Bank has big plans to expand in Denver. The Pittsburgh-based bank will open at least 8 new branches in Denver by 2030, according to our partners at Denver Business Journal. This would be in addition to its planned acquisition of Lakewood-based First Bank. PNC officials say that deal should be finalized by next month. They plan to keep all the First Bank branches, including customer branches, teams, and convert them to PNC by June. They say they will notify clients about product and service changes before they happen.
Well, Ryan, listening to all your headlines, I think it's a snapshot of what a lot of families are feeling right now, whether it's the 1.2 million jobs lost, whether it's the tariffs. My husband has a small business. It's real. People don't understand. Like when you have a margin this much and then you have a tariff on top of that, it almost makes it impossible to sell your goods.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough environment for a lot of folks right now. And I think, Sam, the biggest thing for most folks is just there's still a lot of uncertainty about what's to come in 2026. Are things gonna get better, or are they going to continue to move in a direction where we see job cuts and businesses struggling? There's a lot of that uncertainty out there. And unfortunately, I wish I could say something positive right now.
I was just going to ask you, what do you know?
My sense is that we're in for some more uncertainty. But I think you got an economic brief coming up in one of your next segments. Maybe they'll have some better news than I have.
Well, Ryan Frazier, we appreciate you as always.
So, I want to also talk about another big issue, Sam, that I think there's a big demand for, and that's data centers. There's a big demand for them. There's very expensive to run, affecting electricity prices. Last week, we talked about how Xcel Energy is requesting to add nearly $356 million to their rate base. That would be a nearly 10% residential rate hike for most Coloradans. But the spike in power demand is forecasted by Xcel is mostly driven by data centers. Xcel estimates that the new data centers that are being planned were 62% of projected demand in Colorado. That's a big deal. And then we just saw a report by CNBC that warns families could see higher electricity bills if the AI boom goes bust. Here's the risk. Utilities are spending billions of dollars to upgrade. That's why Xcel is asking for a rate increase to upgrade the grid to power these massive AI server farms. If the AI bubble bursts and those data centers go dark, the cost of those grid and the upgrades doesn't go away. It gets passed on to the ratepayers, meaning you and I could be paying for infrastructure for a failed tech. Now, some people may ask, well, what would cause the AI bubble to burst? Well, it's, what's the old Toby Maguire saying? Show me the money.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if these data centers and AI don't start to produce more profitability and revenue, then you see capital flight. Investors start to fly away. And if the money dries up, that's what could cause these data centers and the AI, if you will, boom, to go bust, which then means that infrastructure still needs to be paid for by us, those in the community. So let's hope the data centers, in fact, do succeed. I think AI is here for the long term. So it needs to be profitable.
Okay, I'm going to hope along with you because that's one additional bill that a lot of us do not need right now.
That's right.
I know. Okay, so Swiss investment bank UBS released a new report on the number of billionaires in the world and how much they're worth. Here we go. So the billionaires are thriving, enjoying their lives.
Yes, clearly. The combined wealth, Sam, of nearly 3,000 billionaires reached a record high this year. It's now nearly worth $16 trillion. That's 13% more than it was last year. The United States has the largest number of billionaires, followed by China. To put that 16 trillion in some perspective, Sam, that is roughly half the entire U.S. national debt held by just 3,000 people. Earlier last week, we talked about how 1/3 of Coloradans are struggling to pay rent.
Right.
This report confirms that we are seeing what's called a K-shaped global economy. The people at the very top are seeing wealth compound at record rates, while people earning lower wages are seeing their buying power evaporate. And that gap could end up being amongst the biggest economic stories of 2025.
That's what also concerns me. I mean, there's a lot of concern here, but again, this is a snapshot of what a lot of people are feeling at their home, putting food on their table. The middle class is being eviscerated, is it not? Or is that just me being a pessimist?
I can say they're being tightly squeezed right now. If you're in the middle class, you're feeling the squeeze on both ends. And let's face it, until the interest rates and inflation starts to really come under control and wages continue to see growth where more folks are making more money, I think folks are going to continue to be squeezed. And so, look, if you're a billionaire or even 100 millionaire, right? Money makes money, right?
Yes.
That's the way the world works. Compound interest, they're going to make money just leaving their money in the banks, So the real question is, how do you make life more affordable for everyday Coloradans? And I think that until we get that solved, we're going to continue to see some challenges in Colorado and America more broadly.
Yeah, and hopefully 2026 will be a much better year fiscally
We're
for
hoping.
Coloradans and Americans.
Yeah, we got to be, look, I'm a realist, but I'm also an optimist, right?
Yeah.
I like to say I'm an optimist grounded in reality. And I'm hopeful 2026 will, in fact, be a better year. And so we'll see how this plays out.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.